Hi, I'm Ashlee.
And I'm Rachel. Welcome to the Capital Mom Real Life Conversation. Today we're going to be talking about bedtime routines and just kind of talking about how they're different for every family, but ultimately using this time to connect with our children in different ways. We'll talk about different age ranges because we have ages from 1 to 9.
Yeah.
And a lot happens from 1 to 9, and bedtime routines change.
And I don't think we're the only ones that sometimes are just exasperated with bedtime routine too. So just the real aspect of that.
Right. So first is our Glimmer and our Dimmer. And it sounds like today we both have glimmers.
Oh yeah, we do.
So go ahead, you can do yours first.
Yeah, mine's super short and sweet, but my 3-year-old has just had a really hard time staying in his bed. He's not in a crib anymore. Staying in his bed and sleeping through the night, and I just had a really long stretch of not good sleep at all. It was very interrupted, and I was like taking him back, but then it was so many times a night that then I just gave up and just let him be in my bed for a little while. And anyway, my husband is amazing, and he has been sleeping on a pad in our hallway for the last 3 days to catch him before he comes out.
No way.
Yes, and so that he can just walk him back in.
My back hurts so bad.
I know. He's like a roughet. He would love to camp all the time. But anyway, so then he catches him before he wakes up too much and takes him back to his room. That way I can get some sleep. So thank you, John, you're amazing.
Yes.
Huge thanks to any dads that do that, any moms that do that.
And just her husband, John, by the way, is like super fans of this whole thing that we're doing together. So thank you, John, for just like loving and supporting us. And my John. We both are married to Johns. If you missed episode 1, we are both married to Johns, and they are both like just so supportive.
Yeah.
And we're very grateful.
Yeah. So I've gotten sleep this last little bit, and he has as well. And I think we've both been happier together because of it. So really big glimmer there.
Makes a big difference.
Yes.
Yeah. So I am also doing a Glimmer, like I said, and mine is going to be short and sweet this week too, because I realized some of our Glimmers were a lot of talking. So mine is just to my little 1-year-old who's almost 2 in July. Just like the explosion of language is the cutest thing ever. I love that like 1.5 to 2.5 stage where they're just like learning so much. And she's very into Elsa and Frozen. We started with Moana. Our whole family got sick of Moana, so we kind of we were like, let's watch this. And she took to it. And now she has like 3 Elsa dresses, and she sings like all the songs with the big arm motion.
Once you go Elsa, there's no turning back from there. I mean.
And so the new thing that she says that's so cute, she'll come up to us and say, question? And we'll say, yes, what's your question? She says, snowman. Like, do you want to build a snowman?
Yes.
And then she starts singing, but she doesn't know all the words, so she just kind of gets the last word. So she'll say, play anymore, door away, buddies, not why. And then she'll go, yay! It's so cute. Like I could just bottle it up forever and ever. So that's my Glimmer this week. It just brings me so much joy.
Yes.
And sometimes if I'm just needing a little smile, I'll be like, Finley, do you have a question? just to hear it out of her. Yeah. So
I love that.
Yes. So cute.
I love that. Well, yes, yay for Glimmers. Hopefully you guys have had Glimmers this week too. And you know that we've had Dimmers too. So
yes.
So with moving into our topic of bedtime and bedtime routines. So first we just want to acknowledge that all of them can look differently, and all of them can still work beautifully for your family. It just depends on what it is that you want. But what we try to focus on ourselves is at least just having it be purposeful and how it looks, and then trying to make it connecting with our kids individually, with each of them individually, and how that can look a little different.
So I think what we're going to do first is we'll just talk to you about our bedtime routines individually as our family units, and then a few of our friends and different things that we've heard of that other people do that work beautifully, like Ashlee said. So I'll let Ashlee start.
Okay, well, so I have a kiddo who's 3, and then a 7 and then a 9-year-old. So obviously bedtime looks a little different there, but basically starting at a particular time is the best thing that helps for us. So if we have a set time that we're like, okay, this is where we get started with bedtime, because that's where we get tripped up the most. The sun comes out in the summertime, and I just never want to go to bed, and it's beautiful, and I just don't want to get the kids to bed. But then I end up suffering afterward because I've not had a moment to myself. I've not cleaned. I've not touched anything. My husband and I haven't had any time together. So this summer we're going to try and work on that a little bit better too. But you know, wintertime it's a little easier.
Definitely.
Too, it's just darker, easier for bedtime. But anyway, so what? Starting at a particular time, and then we just, you know, do the normal things like, hey, get your PJs on, brush your teeth. Obviously I have to brush some of my kiddos' teeth, but my 9-year-old is doing it on her own now. And then I'll have my 9-year-old like go ahead and get her PJs on, and then she just kind of starts reading. And my 7-year-old can kind of start doing that too. Sometimes she'll work on puzzlers, mind puzzlers. She's so cute that way. So sometimes she'll work on that to kind of get herself tired. She's the one that doesn't slow down as easily. So a longer bedtime is helpful. Otherwise I'm rushing her, and that makes it hard, and I don't feel connected with her when we do that. Sometimes you can't, you know, sometimes you can avoid that, and that's just what it is. But then try to give like an extra quick snuggle or something before leaving. But and then with Levi, and then we did this with our girls when they were younger too. But and then Anna will go in afterward when I'm done with Levi. We'll go in and read a couple books with her, and she's just started reading chapter books on her own too. My husband challenged her to read the Magic Tree House book in one day, and she did, and so now she's like, oh, I can do this, and she's into it. So super excited about that, really excited for her reading journey, because that is something that we love to do with our kiddos. And then with Levi, we do like 3 books in the rocking chair. He picks them out, and then we hop in bed and either sing a song. I don't know, he hasn't really loved songs lately, I'm not sure why, but he has in the past at different points. All of our kiddos, we do love to sing to them. Anna especially loves it too, and sometimes my husband will even pull out the guitar, and that's like a really special thing that we love, and he'll do that sometimes for sleepovers too. It's just a great way to like everybody in your beds, play a song, and then lights out, and then, you know, there's usually going to be like, you come out a few times, but the girls know they need to have their water bottles done. You know, they're 7 and 9, they can kind of take care of that. And then Levi does like to be snuggled until he falls asleep. And that's just where we are right now.
That's what I was just going to ask you is, do you lay with your kids until they fall asleep?
So I don't always, but Levi, for whatever reason, he was waking up in like fits and terrors lately. So when he was a baby, I put him to bed before he was asleep. And was like, you know, back.
Yeah.
And would walk out, and things went well. But then there was a lot of sickness when he was little, and just, I have a hard time when they're crying, and I can't tell if it's a hurt cry or a sad cry, or, you know, I have a hard time not responding to that and just at least wanting to let them know that I'm there.
Yeah.
So right now, I do lie next to him until he falls asleep, but he does fall asleep fairly quickly. So it's not a long thing. And I'm kind of I am actually kind of enjoying that right now, especially because it's not a long, just lie there, we snuggle. And I even said the other day, I was like, Levi, what is it you like about me being here? And he was like, you make me happy. And he was like, and you make me sad. No, but I think it's just because we have ups and downs throughout the day. But his first response, right off the top was, you make me feel happy.
Yeah.
So I know that that's an important connection, and that it won't be forever, but that it is valuable. And he is, for a little while, he wasn't allowing John to be there. So again, every kid's can be different, and there were obstacles that we were trying to navigate as gently as we could.
Well, and we talked about this. We talked about, I remember when she was going through that, when he didn't want dad, and we had talked about things that we had read and how we could help with that, instead of just being like, no, you're going to dad, stop, you're like, you know,
almost like made it worse.
Yes, but instead, like, even talking to our husbands and having the way that they frame it is being like, I know you really want mom right now, but you get me right now, and this is how it's going to be great, you know, and trying to reframe it so it's not, you don't get this, but you get this. And I know I'm not mom and I'm different, but
and mom is great.
I can
and
offer
think that-
this.
Yes,
You know, we're both great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think we've gone through that too, and have kind of we have really found our rhythm in bedtime, and that is, my husband goes with my son every night, and I stay with the girls. And we kind of go through trial and error of trying different things. We did for a while where we were like, well, let's alternate nights. I'll take, and it just didn't work. Like, so we just stopped trying new things because we were like, this is working. Why are we trying to change it?
Mm-hmm.
So, are you okay if I go? Are you good?
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say then after Levi's in bed, then we go into Anna's room and usually read with her or talk with her a little bit, and then I always pop into Ellie's too. I love just like getting in next to them and giving them a great big snuggle before they go to sleep, and just telling them that I love them. And if they have anything that they want to share, often they'll share it then. It's like a really, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure we all know that sometimes when we're like, I gotta get out of here, they're like, so this day, this is, and they start sharing something like really meaningful, and I'm like, oh, I wanted to have this conversation earlier, but like
it's
they're
such
so
a good
open
time
now
to meet their heart. Right
now. So we try to create some space that if there's anything that they want to share, there's just enough space that they can then talk about it, and not feel too rushed. So both of us go into each of those, give them a love, tell them we love them, and a quick snuggle, and say goodnight.
That's perfect. Yeah. So I feel like Ashlee and I's bedtime routines are similar. So reading is very important to me as well, and we talked about that last week. We go to the library once a week. We get a big old load of books, like this big bin of books, and I haul it upstairs. It's so heavy, but I usually read. I don't set a number of books. I just do time. So I don't know. We try to go up to bed between 7:30 and 8, and it is kind of fluctuates because like last night we had gymnastics. We don't even get home from gymnastics until 7:40. We haven't had dinner. We haven't done baths. So everything is pushed back. So gymnastics nights are tight. But on nights when we don't, we can get up there and we can like really enjoy our bedtime routine. And we just kind of realize that that's life and it's not always gonna look the same. So, and that's the funny thing about gymnastics night is like, those are the nights I want to do baths because I just don't like the chalk and stuff all over their bodies. So like, wouldn't it be nice if we could, yes.
Because you wouldn't want to.
Right. Wouldn't it be nice if we could do bedtime or bath time on like a relaxing night? But no, it has to be on the night we have everything going on. But anyway, we try to go between those times, and that's why there's a range. And then same thing, teeth, take the hair out, do all those things. And then I usually read to all three of my kids for about 45 minutes. So it's a long time, but they're there and they're listening and their attention span is there and we're snuggling and it's great. And then when we're done with that reading time, that's when my husband takes my son and I stay with the girls. And sometimes I'll read at that point would read a chapter book, like a more challenging book for my oldest who's 7. And then I will take my 1-year-old with me. We co-sleep. I know there's opinions about co-sleeping, but it works for us, so that's what we do. And I'm gonna move her to her room when she turns 2, so very soon. We just honestly don't have a bed for her yet, and she never did a crib, so this is just what we're doing. And the thing I did want to touch on was the reading piece, is that my 1-year-old will sit in there and listen to all these stories that are definitely highly above her level. And sometimes I think about that and like, oh no, am I like doing her a disservice to not read her these, like the baby books, which I do read her baby books, obviously, but just not at that, at that time we might read one baby book and then the rest are for the older 2. But I did the same thing with Brecken, who's my 4-year-old. And I just feel like the kids they'll rise to that level, and that they actually will develop those vocabulary skills earlier. And I just see just so many benefits to reading that are more than just vocabulary. Like it's stories and getting immersed in your imagination, and it's connecting with me, because my kids will be like, tell me a story, and I'm like, I can't think of a story. I don't know. Can I read you that? I know. There's a story right here.
Same way.
Yeah. So there's just so many benefits, and even having my daughter now in 1st grade is just excelling in reading at school, and I'm just like, how cool is that? That it's just because we do this at night, and it's something I love doing. And it happened so organically. It
Yeah.
wasn't like, I'm going to read my kids for 45 minutes every night because you're going to learn, and you're, you know, it was like, when it wasn't something I planned.
Yeah.
Because I never liked reading myself. I don't know if you did. Did you?
Yeah, I did actually.
Well,
I
good
would
for
like,
you.
My mom would have to turn my light off at like 3 in the morning because I would just
No way.
Yes.
That's awesome.
My mom is a major reader too.
Yeah. No, I never read. Like, it just wasn't a thing that I did. And so I didn't think that I would be reading to my kids, but we started going to the library for story time and got books, and this is just what evolved. And there's just been so many benefits to it. So that's what's such a cool resource about the local library is it's free, and it can do so much for you and your family. So another plug for the library.
Yeah, definitely. I love that.
Yeah.
And you know, with that, we have one of our best friends, Barbara, who her and her husband do it a little differently, where they each are able to take turns, and obviously this is dependent on both parties being able to be available in the evening times. That's not always the case. Yeah. But it works for them where they take, like, they have 3 kiddos. She obviously puts the baby down, but then they have 2 older girls, and they take turns. And one puts everybody to bed one night, and the other person gets a complete night off. And they do that, and they just take turns with that. And honestly, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it does.
So I wanted to share that because I think it's a fabulous
be a great
way
strategy
to
as well.
still, meet some of your needs individually too, while still, you know, like still getting to connect with your kiddos.
Yes.
And I think that's great. There was a time where someone one time was like, your bedtime routine is too long. And, you know, I'm not going to say that ours isn't not too long sometimes. Right. Like a little bit long sometimes, a little drawn out. And we are kind of constantly adjusting it to try to match the needs of our kiddos too, and our needs as parents. Because I think that is important to remember. You guys, there are a couple time when it's sometimes only in the evenings. But I also, when my husband and I talked about it, we realized we also genuinely love that time with our kids, and so that's why we do it. But it's not just because we hate going to bed and not having a chance to talk, or like we don't want to talk to each other in the evening or whatever. Like, we just really genuinely enjoy that time with them. And so then it's just finding that balance between making sure we have some time together while doing the other thing that we really enjoy, which is spending that connecting time with our kids at bedtime.
Right. So another person that I know, it's just a person I follow on Instagram, but she has shared that her bedtime routine looks very different. Her kids are, I think, a little bit older than ours. And what I love about hers is she just does 20 minutes with each kid. And so she starts with the youngest, which I think in her case is like a 6-year-old, and just gives that 6-year-old her, 15 to 20 minute time, super intentional. It's not reading. So that's where, for me right now, I don't feel like I'm at a point where I want to do what she does, where, spending 20 minutes with each kid, because that reading piece is so important. But I think that when my kids get older and they're reading on their own, kind of like your oldest, they can go do their reading time while I do my one-on-one time with Finley, and then they can read on their own again, and I can do my one-on-one time with Brecken, and then I can do my one-on-one time with Ellie. And I do like too, it's kind of a tiered system where your oldest gets that reward of being up the latest, and that is kind of special to be like, oh, I can be the last one who gets to be up. And I just love that, again, it's just that intentional time. And I remember when she said that for the first time, I was like, that's an hour, like every night you're committing. But then I was like, well, I give my kids an hour every night, hour and a half every night. So it's really, it's very doable.
And didn't you tell me one time, I feel like there was a quote you shared one time that was like, it was called, that's your window time.
Yes.
It's like, your window time, like into their souls.
The window to their soul.
Yes.
That's when you're going to get those deep, like kind of like what you were just saying, those deep heartfelt things that maybe you're not going to get during the day because you're busy, and there's a lot going on. There's a lot of chaos in a big household with 3 kids. And that's that special time where they can slow down and connect with your hearts. One more thing I wanted to say was that nothing lasts forever in bedtime. And so if you're going through a hard time where you're like, my kid is not falling asleep, my kid is coming to my room every night and I am exhausted,
or I'm just tired and I don't want to do bedtime anymore today at all.
Or like you have a baby who's waking up crying or wanting to nurse, things like that. that just recognize it's a season, and yes, it might be a hard season, but knowing that it's a season is both helpful and also kind of tings at your heart a little bit. I was knowing like this is not going to last forever. If you know, your Levi is not always going to come to your room, and he's going to get to the point where he's a big boy and he doesn't need to be in your room anymore. And so just recognizing that their childhood goes so fast. I feel like it goes so fast. Like how are our kids as old as they are, you know? And that the season will pass and you will get through it.
Yeah, and that you're doing a great job. Yours can look however it needs to look. You're doing great. If you're trying, you're doing great. And we got your back.
You don't need to do motherhood alone. Come join our village. Exactly as you are.